Well, first and foremost, Anthony, congratulations. Changemaker, icon, transformational leader. But I want to back up, and I want to start from the beginning. So from what I understand, and I'd like to thank Sam Feldman and Peter Dillon for providing me some good intel.
Now I'm really worried.
Not at all. But you think back to when you were in your 20s. You were talking about the Queenie, the Playhouse. But you started by selling wine in the trunk of your car. And if you, no, it's true. And if you couldn't do that now, I don't think. Can you? I don't think so. You were fast forward to where you are now, and there are so many ups and downs as an entrepreneur. And I'm sure, sitting where you are now, you look back and you think, wow, that was quite a journey. So what was the toughest part for you? Where did you hit that bump in the road that entrepreneurs hit? What was that point that you thought, I can't do this anymore?
Bridget, it's a very interesting question because when you look back on your life and your career, I think we can all look back and there are just a few seminal moments that truly make a difference. I mean, I almost gave up after 3.5 years. I started as Canada's first wine merchant, called Mark Anthony Wine Merchants. I just inverted my names. Mark was my middle name because I thought these European suppliers might have heard of somebody called Mark Anthony. It worked. And started again selling these wines, representing these wineries and so on. And after 3.5 years, not having contracts, because I had finally, after starving for several years, became successful, the Seagrams, the Hiram Walkers, ironically, these huge distilleries that no longer exist, they would sort of steal the brands from me. And I phoned my dad. I was in Toronto, where I had my little apartment office, and I said, it's over. I can't, I've just lost these two big, because I'm successful, I lost the rights to these brands. And he said, never make a decision when you're backed in a corner. There's always another way. And on the way back, they said, you can stay in the family home. I couldn't afford anything, so I went back, and as I flew back, I thought, what if I sold to Canadian Airlines? Because they didn't have to go through liquor boards. And that was kind of the start. But I'd say the seminal moment was this outrageous dream that this incredible valley just over the coastal range, the Okanagan, that can grow the finest fruit in the world, where we grow cherries that sell for $10 a cherry in Japan, and peaches and apples like none others, should be able to make wines, grow grapes that would make wines that would stand next to the best in the world. So I risked everything and mortgaged my little townhouse and anything and everything I owned and borrowed every dime to buy one of 5 wineries in the Okanagan at the time, a winery called Golden Valley that was going out of business. That was the seminal moment, not realizing a year later interest rates, I'd be paying 25%. So just think about that. So you'd never realize those seminal moments. And I'll just add one more thing. When you reach these points that you really think are the end, it's over. It's the obstacle is so great, you can't possibly overcome them. It's actually the moment to invent something, to innovate something new. And that's when I created the Okanagan Cider Company, took these amazing fruit from the Okanagan and created the world's first flavored ciders. That was to be the crucible moment that would create the ready-to-drink business that I could have never imagined, that would change who we are. And it was all to just keep Mission Hill alive, keep this winery alive.
You have reinvented and reinvented and reinvented, and you have built a whole new beverage class in the United States and in Canada, whether it's Mike's Hard Lemonade or whether it's White Claw. So do those conditions still exist in British Columbia to be able to do that? What would it take? Because we've talked a lot about very tough economic times right now. We've got fiscal pressures, we've got affordability challenges, we've got geopolitical pressures and tariffs. Do the same conditions still exist right now?
I think it's an even more exciting world. Because when I was out competing with, at the time, there were 3 major brewers in Canada, the big distillers. They controlled the monopolies, the liquor boards, and so on. Today, in one sense, is a much freer world, but it is different. And AI, generative AI, means that anyone in their basement, if you have one, or in your bedroom, can create a billion-dollar company very, very quickly because it extends your creativity. You get to search the world, the minds of what's been created, and I think it makes the individual that much more powerful. But there's a big but.
Yeah, what
and
is
here's
that?
the but, I think, for us here in British Columbia. Look, when you compete, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're a service industry or if you're in a brand, today it is a global world. Think about what's happening to retailers with the impact of Amazon. And look at every street you live on. How often do you see an Amazon truck? And how quickly do you get a delivery? Well, the world has changed. So you and we have to be truly world class. That's something that slips off the tongue. It's extraordinarily difficult to do because you're never there. You always have to constantly improve. You have to become better. You have to become smarter. And it's about the people around you. It's about your products. It's about your services. It's about, it always is constantly moving. But if you do those things and you don't think of yourself as a Vancouver company or a Burnaby company or a little service, if you're any kind of a service business or a product business, I think the opportunities today, if you take that, because you can learn from anywhere in the world on your laptop. So this is a huge opportunity to harness our, not only education, the BCITs, the other higher learning education, our whole community, and I think springboard forward. We have to get out of the swamp, if you will, of thinking about the past, and we have to embrace the future.
You seem to have an uncanny knack to know where the trends are going, whether it was Mike's Hard or whether it was White Claw, and then you ventured into non-alcoholic beverages, recognizing that people maybe aren't drinking as much as they did 20, 30 years ago. So where do you sense the trends are going, and can you give us a hint of what you might be working on next?
I think that's the big question. Look, if you want to compete by doing something someone else is doing, then you'd better be that much better or be the low-cost producer. I do not recommend trying to be the low-cost person in anything. I'm sorry, from a commodity or anything. And that's not who we are as Canadians, and that's not going to get us where we are. Look at our forest industry as an example. We are not the low-cost producer. We've lost that industry to others that are, and we haven't even developed technology. We wasted all those decades, have not developed technology we could be selling to Argentina, to Brazil, to others that are growing these very fast-growing forests, New Zealand and so on. We don't have that. Okay, so let's go forward. How do you identify what's coming next? First of all, let's face it, it's all about our consumers, or customers, if that's what you're doing in B2C. It is really about understanding what is going on. And I think White Claw is a wonderful example because it was a moment of transformation, a better for you. So on the one hand, you
children, thank you,
yeah,
both of them.
Well, it's this thing. On the one hand, you have flavor. So the days of sort of bland burgers and chicken and the things I grew up with in Chef Boyardee or mac and cheese are gone. People now are into flavors, we know, and it's a completely different world from a sensory standpoint. So the opportunity was pretty clear. It crossed flavor with what? Better for you. Better for you meant 100 calories, most of which come from alcohol. I think 10 comes from our sweetener, which is completely natural, made from plant-based, that we have invented in our labs here in Vancouver. So where we've put these things together and these amazing flavors, and at the same time, virtually no carbs, something that just felt better, that wouldn't give you the bloating that you receive, that you have if you're a lot of beer or other things and you didn't feel it in the morning. And it came really at the time of the global pandemic, which for us was an incredible time. The global pandemic was
I think happy hour
when
was
when
at
people
noon
were
for a lot of people during the pandemic.
Right. Not only that is you'd race to the store, but it was also the time that we found when there's been global crisis, when there's economic or a pandemic crisis, our company's always grown fastest. Well, what did we do during the pandemic? While everyone else, no one was going anywhere, we built the 3 most advanced drinks facilities and breweries in the world. Unfortunately, not in Canada. It wouldn't have been possible. We built them in America. If we built them today, the cost would be twice.
Do you think the conditions could exist to build a brand like yours in Canada? And what would it take?
Well, we are building brands in Canada. We have a whole innovation center in the country, and I'm really thrilled that our labs are here in Vancouver. A lot of the innovation work we do here, and a lot of it done in Toronto in terms of brands. But we are developing brands for Canadians. For instance, our Dillon's Distillery are doing all kinds of things, and we found with the boycott of American products, it was troublesome for us because we were the largest importer under Mark Anthony Wine and Spirit Merchants of American wines into Canada. So that business is gone. At the same time, our Barefaced whiskey, where we've looked at how do we reinvent Canadian whiskey? How do we take Canadian whiskey from a commodity, because it's all been sold off. It's all foreign owners now that basically, other than the small craft distillers, our businesses, our whiskeys are sold as bulk around the world, mainly. We decided to look at it differently, so it's been very positive. So there are opportunities, even in something as basic as that.
Well,
so we're not even talking technology.
That does give me some hope, given there needs to be more government policy at all levels to support Canadian entrepreneurs, just like yourself. Only a couple of minutes left. Can you tell, you have been written about, you've had videos, I've watched a number of the interviews, but having talked to Sam and Peter, I know a few things. What would you say to this group of business leaders that maybe they don't know about your story? You know, some might say, oh, he seems like he's always been successful. It has been a long, hard road for you, like a lot of entrepreneurs, but what is something that maybe this group doesn't know about what it took for you to get to where you are now?
I think once you've sort of arrived and you're successful in whatever field and recognized, I think people quickly forget the road. And the road was for really quite a number of years. There were many months I couldn't pay myself, but I never, ever missed payroll. I never missed my obligations. And I think it was, I think that's really important. And I think because no one believed in my dream to make world caliber wines that could stand next to best in the world, so nobody invested. I couldn't get any money. The banks were frozen. They couldn't increase my line of credit, even though I had government receivables, and they wouldn't give me any more funds. So that's when I think I had to reinvent.
Is that how the Mark Anthony name came in?
Mark Anthony, well, that came before. That came at the beginning. But you're right. That was just the wine merchant side. So it's about being creative. But I think the things that probably aren't known is something really important. It's never been really about me. It's been about the incredible team. And that we're only, I don't even know how many people we are in our organization, because it depends by season. But let's say when we don't have vineyard workers, we're probably 2,200 in the entire company doing billions of sales. So we are far, far more efficient than any drinks company in the world, and we're now maybe one of the largest, if private beverage companies in North America. But it's really about the people. It's about, and many are in this room, it's about their passion, their dedication, a common purpose towards a vision, which started with a dream. And I think what's really important, and which I love to talk to students at universities about and so on, that each person and everyone in this room and everyone in your companies can accomplish far more than you ever dreamt of. I never dreamt I'd be certainly here talking to you, Bridget, and in front of this incredible, incredible group of the leaders of the business community here in Vancouver. It's extraordinary what's inside us, and each one of us has a fingerprint. There's only one of us. So we all have unique skills, and when we band together, you know, a small team can overcome giant corporations. I mean, our small team is up against Coke, Pepsi, the biggest brewers in the world, the biggest drinks companies in the world are desperately trying to take our business, and our latest share for White Claw in our category in America is 75%. And there are 400 brands, thousands of SKUs. So this is about a small group, and understand that in Vancouver, in British Columbia, we're small groups and so on. And I look at some of the incredible visionaries, and look at what we've done with sort of athletic leisure in Vancouver, and look at what Chip started. I mean, it wasn't just yoga gear. It was he started a completely new movement. And if you look at Don Matrick, who with a partner started in a basement, you know, the second, I think, computer game in, you know, at the time for PCs, and became the cornerstone for electronic arts. But importantly, he didn't just stop there. He became the architect that made Vancouver the powerhouse through education for video games. Why are all the video games here in Vancouver? It's because of the work that Don and his partner Paul did in making sure we had the education system to support that, and it's carried on by Aritzia. If you look at Brian Hill, and I think what he's done in a brilliant way in terms of this accessible fashion and his obsession with detail, with perfection, with anticipating the future, and these stores he's building. I'm so proud when I go in New York and I go all over and I see those brands, and Arc'teryx, when I'm running around Europe and I see Arc'teryx everywhere. That is just incredible. It all comes from Vancouver. We can do much more of that, but we have to support and celebrate those businesses.
Anthony, you are one of the architects of Vancouver entrepreneurship, just like Karen Flavel is, and just like the number of other amazing individuals that you spoke of. So thank you once again for taking time to be with us tonight, and congratulations on a very well-deserved honor.
Thank you so much, President, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bridge. If this, you know, Greater Vancouver Board of Trade thing doesn't work out, you should be a journalist. Oh, wait a minute, been there, done that, and on to better things. Anthony, thank you so much for your optimism, your professionalism, and your love for British Columbia. We appreciate it so much, and your energy. Incredible. And both of you, thank you for bringing up the fondest memory of the pandemic. Happy hour. It's amazing. It helped us survive. Congratulations again to our 2026 honorees. Walter Pela, thank you so much. Purdy's Chocolatier, and Karen and Anthony von Mandl, of course. All very deserving of recognition as exceptional leaders and true community builders who are making British Columbia and Canada a better place to live. Another round of applause for them, please. Thank you all very much, especially the lady in the red dress who I get to just pops out of the crowd under the light there. You've been my beacon all evening, and I appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you to this evening's sponsors for making this event possible. We want you to stick around and enjoy the dessert reception, sponsored by RBC Royal Bank, and some music by DJ Pre as well. She's amazing. The bar in the foyer is open if you'd like to grab a nightcap. Please act responsibly after that. And the Concord Pacific photo booth is still open if you'd like to get your photo taken. As you leave tonight, please feel free to take the centerpiece flowers from your table, but please don't take the vases with you, just take the flowers. Lastly, before we go out to the foyer, I want all the governors, if I can, I want to ask them to come up to the stage. We're going to do a group photo. Thank you, everybody. It's been an honor. Have a great night.